We have one item on individual consideration today, and that is to consider approving a letter to be sent to Governor Polis, Senator James Coleman, and Representative Julie McCluskie addressing unfunded mandates and the financial burden they place on Colorado counties, and authorize the chair to sign. And we have County Attorney Todd Starr with us this morning. Morning, Todd.
Good morning, Commissioners. Todd Starr, Mesa County Attorney. I'm here today to request your approval of a letter, as you mentioned, to Governor Polis, Senator Coleman, and Representative McCluskie regarding a growing challenge counties across Colorado are facing: unfunded mandates. An unfunded mandate occurs when the state government requires local governments like ours to perform new functions or expand services, but fails to provide the money to do it. It's the government equivalent of saying, you must build this bridge, but then handing us a bag of nails and a pat on the back. This creates a real strain on our county budget. We're forced to either divert money from essential services like roads and public safety or human services, or worse, raise taxes, just to stay in compliance. That's not fiscal responsibility, and it's certainly not local control. Fortunately, Colorado law is clear. Colorado Revised Statute 29-1-304.5 states that if the state imposes a new mandate without providing funding, counties are not obligated to comply. That's not a symbolic statute. It's a lawful and deliberate expression of local autonomy and budgetary fairness. If the state wants to increase service requirements, it should also increase the funds to meet them. The letter before you is part of a bipartisan effort with counties across the state to push back. In fact, this effort began right here in Mesa County under the leadership of this great board. It calls attention to four specific recent mandates, each of which adds substantial costs to Mesa County without any guaranteed state funding. I've asked some colleagues to come forward and speak about these, and their comments will illustrate not just the financial impact, but the operational and legal burdens placed on our county. In the end, this really isn't about us resisting reform. It's about demanding that when the state acts, it does so responsibly. Counties continue to be an indispensable partner in delivering services. We're simply asking for partnership, not punishment. I thank you, and I respectfully ask that you approve this letter and for the chair to sign. And I'd ask my colleagues to step forward.
And as they come up, I did want to recognize both Senator Rich and our Representative Taggart have always been advocates for local government, because you know what those bills and that legislation cost our local communities. So I want to thank you guys specifically for always being advocates for local government and recognizing the cost for counties and cities and such. So thank you. Mr. Bay.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Darrell Bay, Mesa County Building Department building official. I'd like to address the concerns of Senate Bill 23-166 that establishes the 2025 Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code and its impact on the building department. According to the state's website, this code was adopted July 1st, 2025. Jurisdictions must adopt by April 1st, 2026, and must comply by July 1st, 2026. The adoption of this code will conflict with some requirements of the recently adopted Ordinance 008D. With this adoption, possibly amending the Ordinance 8D, it involves quite a bit of time along with legal costs that are not required, or legal costs that are required to be posted in local papers, which continue to rise, and this is another unfunded mandate. The amount of records and documentations this code requires to be kept and reported yearly is going to take significant time and amount of time on staff, along with additional documents and inspectors that must fill out additional records with permits to show the compliance. During the plan review and permitting process, a site visit may be required to gather accurate information so that the requirements of this code can be applied as mandated in this House bill, and will add additional costs. At the request of the building community, we were directed to provide electronic permitting process to allow those that chose not to come to our office and issue some permits online currently that don't require a review. The requirements of this code and process will require a review of some of the online permits located in the fire hazard zones 1 through 3. This will be challenging to keep straight for the permit applicants along with the staff. With requirements of this code, permit drawings will require to have a lot more information on it so that we can ensure compliance. Again, this will be time added and cost to everyone involved. While working to keep the building cost affordable by required materials, permit fees, and keeping projects on track, this code is impacting all of our efforts. The level of knowledge to meet the mandates in this code is above the normal inspector or plans examiner or admin staff. This will require at least adding 2 additional well-trained staff members dedicated to these projects and permits, upgrades, and legal assistance in classes for training to ensure compliance with this mandate. While we are dedicated to serve our community, this will come at a cost that can't be absorbed by our current permit fees, and the good people of Mesa County shouldn't be expected to fund this mandate without a choice. This is what I see for the Mesa County Building Department. Other agencies will have other additional costs with Senate Bill 23-166. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Bay.
Good morning, Board. Alan Simpkins, Director of Facilities. I'm here to address House Bill 21-1286. It's energy benchmarking and building performance standards. The bill requires owners of covered buildings, which are buildings over 50,000 square feet, to report building performance usage, which is utilities usage. And the goal of the House bill was to reduce 7% of greenhouse gas emissions in the state by 2026 and progress to 20% by 2030. The impact on the county for this, it affects 5 of our current buildings, and any future construction has to meet certain energy performance standards. The impact on staff is we have to collate all of our building utility usage and then prepare that for a yearly annual report, which is entered at the state portal. The larger impact on the county is if our buildings do not meet that performance standard. It'll require upgrades and could be anywhere from $50,000 to over $200,000 to replace or retrofit some of our current structures. Meeting these greenhouse reduction goals meets a lot of energy requirements, but the larger impact would be on future construction because we do have an aging building population.
Thank you, Mr. Simpkins.
Commissioners.
Good morning.
Lana Jordan, IT Director. House Bill 21-1236 was restructure how the state maintained IT systems and data. Sorry. It modified the governance of the Joint Technology Committee, the Cybersecurity Council, and the Office of Information Technology. This resulted in 17 Colorado information security policies. They surrounded cybersecurity, governance, and data security. Obviously, Mesa County aspires to be as secure as possible within our current staffing and budget. However, the mandated requirements go significantly beyond what's within our ability and budget. We estimate it requires an annual increase of $95,000 to $165,000. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jill Calvert, Executive Director of the Mesa County Department of Human Services, which includes the Workforce Center, Veterans Services, and the Northwest Colorado Area Agency on Aging. The Mesa County Department of Human Services is also affected by unfunded and underfunded mandates, both at the federal and state level. To date, we are tracking 15+ such mandates, with an estimated cost to our department of over $1 million. Funding, however, is not the only cost. There's a negative impact to our staff, our clients, and our community in the form of increased workload without a match in staffing resources. Increased workload to an already stretched staff is a significant barrier to employee retention. which in turn affects program capacity and timeliness to our foundational services provided to our community. This is a staff that already works very, very hard. Some examples of programs impacted by the state of or underfunded are veteran services, child welfare practice legislation, and the state child care expansion. Thank you for your involvement and commitment to addressing the issue and for giving me time to present today.
Thank you. They're good? All right. Did you have any comments? Do you want to open up to the public first?
Yeah, we can open up to the public.
Okay. Is there any public in the audience that would like to speak this morning on this item?
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Janice Rich. I'm the Colorado State Senator. And I want to tell you how much I appreciate this letter. Representative Taggart and I were both in Delta last week, and they have your full support as well. I have been in the legislature for 7 years, and having served in local government for 16 years, I'm very much aware of the burden of the unfunded mandates. And you just named a few, but there are many, many more. And we even had bills this year that are going to come down the pike, and they're going to create havoc for local governments. One of the things that concerned me this year is because, and I'm sure Representative Taggart can speak to this better than I can, but we had a structural deficit in the state. And for some reason, and maybe it's just my perception, but it seemed like our fiscal notes, the format changed and the way they worded them changed. And if you look at the first page of a fiscal note and you see, oh, there's no appropriation there. But if you dig into the fiscal note, you might even see a departmental difference where the departments did not agree with the budget analysts and that there was going to be more money that was required. And when they get to local government, their usual wording is the workload will just be minimal. And I questioned that, but being in the minority, that was not really addressed with me. But I do want to tell you how much I appreciate this. I've known this has been on the books for some time, and I'm glad that you're taking this process seriously. You know, we do have an attorney general that will sue at the drop of a hat. He's kind of become the litigator in chief, but I can't imagine him wanting to sue for following the law. So I appreciate this very much. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Senator Rich.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Rick Taggart, and I represent House District 55, which is this wonderful city of Grand Junction. I think one of the curses of coming from local government is that you understand what unfunded mandates create at a local level. I wish I could say that all members of the House at some point had spent some time in local government. They don't necessarily have to be an elected official, but they certainly could have served on committee. Because for those people that know me, and when I speak in the well, which I'm very careful to select what I think are the most appropriate times for me to go to the well, local control is at the top of my list. This past year, we had a bill that basically was going to take the power from municipal judges and make it a state mandate of the penalties associated with particular crimes. It passed, despite all the debate in the well, and ultimately our governor, which I don't often agree with, did in fact veto that bill. I am very thankful that you're writing this letter. I am very thankful that other counties want to be on it. I think it may require at some point additional legislation, as the senator pointed out, that I truly do think that our fiscal notes should be more comprehensive when it comes to unfunded mandates. Just saying that it has minimal impact is not enough. I personally believe it should have a range. It would be difficult to say the exact number, but it needs a range of dollars. And if it includes additional people, as we've heard here this morning, I think that needs to be called out as well, even though that would show up in the funds. It also, it reinforces that this in fact is an unfunded mandate. And again, I thank you, and if I can help you in any way, I want to do that, and I will continue to fight in the well with those folks that just don't seem to understand. They come from the school of the thought that for some reason as state representatives, I won't speak for the senators, but for state representatives, they're somehow smarter than folks like yourself, which is absolutely untrue. So thank you again.
Thank you, Representative Taggart. Yeah, come on. And it is nice to have representatives and senators who were once local representatives. There's a remarkable difference in how they legislate and how they respond to local control. Sheila.
Thank you. Sheila Reiner, Mesa County Treasurer. I am the former clerk and recorder, and I just wanted to add to this conversation that the elected departments in the county feel this as well. And one of the things that have come to mind as I've listened to the others speak is the legislation surrounding the mail ballot system that we have in the state of Colorado with voter service and polling centers. And when we were working on that legislation clear back in 2013, we knew that we were requiring more voter service in-person, voter service and polling centers than was going to be necessary. And we're guaranteed that we would look at the data after the first presidential election, after that occurred, and then adjust. And instead of looking at the data and following the actual data, we've gone the opposite direction. So now we have a mail ballot system where everybody gets a mail ballot, and we have to set up more voter service and polling centers in comparison to what we had in the original legislation, and that is definitely an unfunded mandate.
Yeah. Thank you, Sheila. Any other public comment this morning? All right. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for comment. I'm sure you have some comment.
Oh, I do. When I first was elected, we would have our department heads weekly meetings. And what really struck me is every department, every elected office was struggling with a constant theme of unfunded mandates. And it really affected their budgets. They couldn't plan in a real way that was true. These unfunded mandates, they had little control over them. And unfunded mandates that come from the state legislature. And then you also have the regulatory unfunded mandates, which is a whole other ball of wax that really affects our bottom line. So listening to the people that I work with every day, I wanted to voice their frustration and our county's frustration. And so we started tracking them. And this was a new concept, but it really meant something to me that if we couldn't track it, then we couldn't articulate it to our state legislature and then also to the regulatory agencies in an accurate way. So we started our unfunded mandate tracker tool. We were able to share that with all 64 counties. And what's really been amazing is when Boulder County and Mesa County agree on something, you know you have something. And this is about bottom line dollars. This is about local control. This is about local people having a voice in where their tax dollars go to. And so we started our unfunded mandate tracker tool. We started working with other counties across Colorado. And finally, we just said, we can't sustain this. Mesa County is up to $10 million in unfunded mandates annually. And then if we take that number on a population basis and we expand that to other counties, we're looking at 361 million is an estimate for counties. And that's not even talking about cities. So this is a huge impact. These are real dollars that are affecting us, and it limits the services that we can do locally. I mean, $10 million for a local government is massive, and that's annually. We just can't keep going on like this. So this letter that we're sending the governor and the state leadership is really, you have to fund this or you have to fix it. These fiscal notes need to be more accurate. We can't keep bearing this burden, and especially when the state is at a $1.2 billion deficit last session. We're walking into a special session. We're really tapped out on the funding at the state level, and we just can't bear that burden anymore. Local government, we've had enough, and we want to work on solutions. We're here to be a partner, but we're not going to be a doormat. So those are my takeaways from this unfunded mandate issue. It's taken me 2 years to really gather data, and we found a way forward. And we're not going to do services that do not have funding. And we hope the state legislature can work with us for a solution. We're really excited to work with them. And I am just so thankful that our senator and our representative that represent Mesa County and Delta really are understanding of the problem. And boy, are we thankful to have an amazing representative on the JBC. I mean, this gives Western Slope such a leg up, and we're thankful for your insight, and thank you for being here today.
Yeah, well said, and thank you for spearheading this whole thing. It's turned out really well, and you've got a lot of support statewide. Like you said, it's not an RD thing. This is a local government deal, and it means real dollars to real people. And I should mention Representative Soper wanted to be here today as well, but he finds himself in Denver and unable to be here. 10 million a year, that's the ball that we find Mesa County pushing uphill every year. Not to mention the rate of inflation is going to be higher than our tax revenue this year. So we have a growing community. We have a greater burden we're trying to serve our community with, and then we have to push this $10 million ball up the hill. $10 million a year for Mesa County could mean 40 miles of paved road, 80 lane miles of road, 60,000 tons in asphalt. It's no small amount. This is a massive amount that we have to bear every year. And at some point, enough is enough. And so that's why we've kind of taken this position that we need the state legislator to fund it. And it's amazing. It is, most people I talk to don't understand. It's state law that if they're going to pass legislation, they have to fund it. If they're going to make a local mandate, they have to fund it. So anyways, thank you, Commissioner Daniel, for all your work on this. Thank you to our state representation for being here this morning. I think this is a great way forward, and couldn't be more appreciative to be a part of this letter and this movement. So with no further ado, I will entertain a motion to approve this item as entered into the record.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 2-0, and I'm confident Commissioner Fletcher would have voted in the affirmative had he been here today.